The July 8th, 2025 meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals will come to order. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Yes. Mr. Garrett,
Here.
Mr. Cassidy,
Here.
Mr. Clark,
Here.
Mr. Martin,
Here.
Mr. Bradburn.
Here.
So in our pre-meeting, we discussed changing the order of this agenda to better suit the needs of the public and the speed of this meeting.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to reorganize the agenda of the meeting to BZA 2025-11 being the first case and as followed: BZA 2025-10, BZA 2025-07, BZA 2025-08, and BZA 2025-09 as the order of the meeting.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No opposition. We can move on since there is no old business. Let's see, approval of the minutes from the June.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor of accepting the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No opposition. The meeting minutes are approved. Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary.
Let me- Talked about it and then I didn't reorder my paperwork. Okay. First item under new business with the revised agenda is BZA 2025-11, Andrew Nance, Development Standards Variance. The petitioner's name, owner's name, and representative this evening is Andrew Nance. The address of the property is 1930 Culbertson Road. Zoning classification is R1 Single Family Residential. And the request this evening is one development standards variance from UDO 5.03, the general accessory structure standards, specifically yard location.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record and tell us about your project.
Okay. My name is Andrew Nance. Thank you guys for having me tonight. We are wanting to put a pool in at our house. Found a place here in Shelbyville. We really love it a lot and thought a nice upgrade to our property and for our family would be a pool. And when we started that process, I learned what two front yards was. I didn't know what that meant, but we have a road in our backyard that we call it, but operates more like an alley. And so I was told that I needed to file an appeal or a variance to get it approved to get the pool back there. We're far from that road and from our neighbors as well. So just here to get the pool project approved.
We'll take questions from the board first, and then we'll give the public an opportunity. Mr. Garrett,
No questions at the moment.
Mr. Cassidy,
No questions.
Mr. Martin,
No questions.
Mr. Bradburn.
No questions.
I have no questions. This was pretty straightforward. We'll close comments from the board and open it to anybody in the public that would wish to speak on this particular petition. Seeing none, we'll close public comment and we are ready for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested development standard variance from UDO 5.03 to allow the replacement of a pool in the eastern front yard in accordance with the staff report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-11.
For BZA 2025-11, a motion to approve. Mr. Cassidy, yes. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Martin, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries. And Mr. Clark, yes. Stuck together. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item under new business, on the revised agenda, BZA 2025-10, custom manufacturing enterprises special exception use. Petitioner's name, Custom Manufacturing Enterprises LLC, property owner Mollenkoff Realty, Inc. Petitioner's representative tonight, Eric Glasgow from Stevenson Rife. Address of the property is 1110 Hale Road. Current property zoning classification is IL Light Industrial, and the request this evening is for special exception use approval to allow the use of truck and trailer sales and service.
Thank you. Eric Glasgow with Stevenson Rife here on behalf of the applicant, Custom Manufacturing Enterprises. They are a business that does custom trailer manufacturing around Shelbyville. They kind of takes place through 3 different sites. One site, they do fabrication. Another site, they do their powder coating. This site that we're talking about today is kind of the last stop, and it's where they do some final industrial assembly of the electrical and things on the trailer. These are custom ordered hopper bottom trailers that are used in ag purposes. So I want to make it clear, these aren't what you would normally think of as a trailer that you're pulling behind a small pickup truck or hauling a lawnmower with. And I have an image here so you can see this. So as we, and I gave you 2 images of the building and then one that shows 2 of the trailers that are inside. The purpose of the application is they are looking to sell these trailers and need a dealer license for that. As Adam stated in the pre-meeting, the dealer license requires a certification of zoning that it's authorized. So we are requesting authorization to have the special use for the trailer sales. There will be no outside storage. As you can see, these trailers are typically, there's 2 or 3 at a time that they're working on. They're stored inside, mostly because they're expensive and custom for security, but there will not be any outside storage. They are not opposed to the stipulation that to the extent there is any outside storage, that it be fully screened.
Thank you. We'll take questions from the board. Mr. Bradburn?
No questions.
Mr. Martin? Mr. Cassidy?
Are those, for a better lack of the word, manure trailers?
It's
That's what they
more
kinda look
for,
like.
more for crop, corn or bean, not so much manure as as harvesting in the fields.
Okay, thank you. That's-
Mr. Garrett?
No questions, just appreciate you agreeing with the conditions that we impose, so appreciate that, even though you didn't have to, but greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Since there are no more, I don't have any questions. There are no more questions from the board. I will close comments from the board, open it to the public. If anyone from the public wishes to speak on this particular petition, please. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. And we are ready for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested special exemption used to allow truck trailer sales and service, imposing the proposed conditions in accordance to the documents submitted pursuant to the findings of fact presented in the planning staff's report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-11.
You mean 10?
And
A motion for approval with the recommended conditions for 2025-10. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Cassidy, yes. Mr. Clark, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. And Mr. Martin, yes. Motion carries.
thank you. Good luck.
Next item under the revised agenda is BZA 2025-07. It's the Van Trust Realty Group Development Standards Variance. Petitioner's name is American Structure Point on behalf of Van Trust Realty Group. The owner's name, Nancy Frink and Susan Rosen. The petitioner's representative tonight is Kylie Bright Schuler with American Structure Point. I believe a few of the petitioners or representatives are joining us via Zoom as well. The current zoning classification is IG General Industrial, and the action requested is 2 development standards variances, one from the non-residential driveway standards to allow proposed drive in excess of the maximum permitted width, and 1 variance from the height standards to allow the accessory structures to exceed the maximum permitted height.
Please speak your name for the record and tell us about the project.
Sure. My name is Kylie Bright Schuler, and I'm with American Structure Point. I'm the civil engineer on the job representing Van Trust Real Estate. Yeah, so this project, we have a warehouse facility along with 2 accessory structures. We also have rail access for storage, or to get shipments in, and everything will be stored in the main facility. And then the 2 other structures will also assist in their everyday function of the facility. The 2 variances we're requesting are the driveway width and then accessory structure height. So at first, the driveway width, we're asking for a variance for, instead of 36 feet, to widen it to 42 feet. This particular end user, this is the width that they've done with their facilities in the past. And if Adam wants to pull up the site plan, thank you, appreciate that. All 3 of these drives will be accessed by both vehicular employees and then also truck and trailer. So to maximize safety and efficiency at these 3 drives, we propose widening them. There's also, it's a guarded access at all 3 locations. So to kind of include that guard shack, it just further exhibits the need for that additional width. In the second drive, we also have a kind of turnaround area for people who are using rideshare. So to be able to safely maneuver vehicles to turn around, that's another reason for the 42 feet. And then for the second variance request is the accessory structure height. So the 2 buildings to the east are 1.5 feet higher than what is allowed and permitted. So that's why we're requesting a variance. Yep, here's the attached schematics. And these buildings are also all standard from the end user that's going to be using this property. So and I'm not an architect, so excuse my language if I'm off base on my terms, but the pit roof pitch and general height within the building has to be a certain clearance for the type of vehicles or whatnot that are maneuvering within those structures. So that's why we're requesting that variance. And I don't think either would be obstructive to adjacent properties. And with all of these structures being off the road significantly, they'll all be screened by landscaping as well.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to split this up a little bit. We're going to go through first questions from the board on the first variance. For the first variance is the driveway. Yes, the driveway standard. And we'll ask questions about that. Go with the public, and we'll come back and hit the other variants. Thank you. Mr. Garrett.
Not so much a question about the drive width, but I noticed in the site plan, you guys have a future expansion. Do you have a timeline on that, or is that?
There's no plans in the
Okay.
immediate future, so.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I got a little close. So yeah, no timeline that I'm aware of.
Okay, I was just wondering. Thank you.
Mr. Cassidy.
No questions.
I have no questions. Mr. Martin.
No questions.
Mr. Bradford.
Also no questions.
So we'll close comments from the board, open it to the public. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this particular petition? Seeing none, we'll move along to the,
Got somebody back here.
oh,
You gotta come up here.
yes, if you wish to speak on this petition, please
My name is Michelle Stitt, and I live on West Mausoleum. And I don't know if I'm too late for this, is what it kind of sounds like, but I would be 2 driveways away from this proposed, and I never received anything that this was going on. My neighbor told me, but it sounds to me like this has already been zoned. Is this already zoned agricultural or industrial?
Yes.
Yes.
This isn't for zoning. This would only be for anything that would pertain to the driveway width.
Okay. Okay, that's what I needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
1438. Thank you.
Would anyone else from the public wish to speak on this petition? Seeing none, we'll close public comment at this time. And we are ready for a motion.
Make a motion to approve BZA 2025-07,
That would be 07A.
07A.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-07A.
This is a motion for approval on BZA 2025-07A. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Cassidy, yes. Mr. Clark, yes. Mr. Martin, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries.
So now we will ask for questions from the board on the second petition for this. Mr. Garrett?
Not so much a question for the petitioner, but I think we talked about this when Simplot came through. Was there a need to look at that height variance?
We had a discussion a few months ago with that Simplot case, because I believe that was 150 some feet for a primary structure. A few years ago in our industrial, definitely our general industrial, but maybe both of our industrial districts, we raised it from, I want to say 50 or 60 to 100 for the primary. With the number of accessory structure height variances tonight, it might be worthwhile to look at that piece, because that's causing more of an issue right now, it seems like, than the other, yeah.
Yeah, I know once Tom Eschen Drive gets really started, we're gonna have a lot, so I think for future, it might be worth looking at. But no questions for the petitioner.
Thank you. Mr. Cassidy?
No questions.
I have no questions on this petition. Mr. Martin?
No questions.
Mr. Bradburn?
I have no questions.
So we will close comment from the board and open it to anyone who would wish to speak upon this particular petition. Seeing no one from the public, we'll close public comment and we are ready for a motion.
I would like to make a motion to approve the requested development standards variance from UDO 5.28 to allow an increase in maximum height of two accessory structures to 25.5 feet, each in accordance with the document submitted pursuant to the finding of fact presented in the planning staff's report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-07B.
A motion for approval on BZA 2025-07B. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Clark, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Mr. Martin, yes. Motion. Mr. Cassidy, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. Good luck with your project.
Okay, next item under new business is BZA 2025-08, Leah Knight, Pole Barn Development Standards Variance. Petitioner's name and owner's name is Leah Knight. The petitioner's representative this evening is Stephen Wilmy. Address of the property is 1931 South Riley Highway. Current zoning classification is R1 Single Family Residential. And the request this evening is 4 development standards variances. The first is general accessory structure standards yard location. Again, for a structure similar to a previous case, a structure located in a front yard due to multiple frontages. The second and third requests are for a reduction in the front yard setback on the south property line in the west. And then the fourth is relief from the maximum structure height by approximately 1.5 feet.
Thank you. Would the petitioner please approach the podium, speak your name for the record, and tell us about your project?
My name is Dave Hunt. I'll be the contractors on the site. This is Steve Wilmy. He is the owner of the site.
Excuse me, I didn't hear.
Steve Wilmy.
Okay.
Just all I'm doing is helping out their friends and family and stuff like that. But we issued the variance request because we got caught up in the 3-yard front yard rules. And unfortunately, that's just the way this area is. So, but what we're actually trying to do is just, we have 2 burned out structures that have been dilapidated for over a year now, and it's just a time to get it cleaned up. The proposal to put in what we call an accessory structure basically is going to improve the lots and things like that. Adam did give me the petition, from Mr. Baker, I believe, or Miss Baker, but it should improve the area. This is on Moore Street. We do not plan on having any entrances to this facility or this structure off of Moore Street, which there are 2 now in the existing structure. So it's kind of a combine and a cleanup of that 2 areas that were destroyed by fire. We did have to ask for a variance for the height on the structure because we're asking for a 4-to-1 pitch. We're, I think, a total of 6 to 12 inches over what's legal as far as the thing. So we went ahead and asked for the variance on it. Let me move over, Jeff. So we were asking for the variance on the height, even though it looked like the original house was about 24 feet. So we were off about a foot to do a 4-to-1 slope to help with structure and runoff and rain and things like that. So that was a reason for the variance on the height. Other than that, it should improve the area immensely, and I'll be involved in the cleanup and things of that nature. We've already got the demolition permit for the structures and things like that.
All right.
And Stephen's here if questions for him or anything.
All righty, we will start and we'll take these apart and
Sure.
go A through D. And we will ask questions from the board. Mr. Bradburn.
So we're doing each of them in independent.
Yes,
So-
asking any questions
So-
about the.
So we're addressing the A now, the general accessory structure standards of the yard location, front yard. Is that correct? Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely a unique property, and the neighborhood is well established, and it's a really nice neighborhood. And so it certainly presents challenges to adapt to the ordinance as it's written. So the front yard and how we define it there, I would imagine would be North Riley Highway is how I would interpret it as well. And so I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Martin?
No questions.
The only question I have is you mentioned, I would like to clarify exactly where this is going to sit and make sure that everyone knows which direction is which, so everybody can get a grasp on this accessory structure.
The drawing that's in your application.
Which is
I'm sorry.
this
Yes,
drawing
I'm
that's
sorry.
up.
Yep. Mhm.
Can
And
you-
more streets on the right there, and then Riley's on the,
So Riley Highway, State Road 9 is to the,
is to the
is to
north.
the top.
Right.
So this structure will be off of, away from Riley Highway
Yeah, it'll be behind the house.
and back to the other,
Right.
uh,
Riley Place.
Riley Place and Morrison Street.
Right.
Alrighty,
I just turned that so it's
a little better to,
zoomed in a little bit and turned so north is up. There we go.
okay. So I just wanted some clarification.
You're fine. You're fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's in the rear of the property, behind the house.
I don't think I have any more questions on this. Mr. Cassidy?
Couple of them, one for the staff, but you're gonna have to cut down any of those trees in the back?
We have removed one large tree and we still have to take out the stump out of it. There was one large tree that is already down and gone.
Okay. Maybe this is more for the staff, but would it make it a difference? Because he's taken down two structures that are already back there and just replacing it with one. Besides the height, is there any other restriction why? I mean,
No, and it really just comes down to the structures that were there were legal non-conforming. They were grandfathered in because they were constructed under an older ordinance and they met those standards. When those come down and a new structure comes up, every standard has to be met. And then the ordinance now classifies all three of those. So I guess to your point, not a lot out there is changing because there's already two structures. Those are just coming down in a new taller structure. The height is a change, but yeah, basically similar footprint to the original. But because it's a new structure, all of these variances and would be required.
okay.
Just one comment, Doug, we did meet the lot coverage. We were below it as far as the coverage on the square footage.
Water runoff, surely it's not gonna run into Mr. Nance's new pool he's gonna build it.
Say again?
Water runoff off the building, surely that's not gonna run into, the water runoff off the building, it's not gonna,
Shouldn't affect any
you
other,
know, running into
probably
Mr.
less
Nance's.
than what they've had on the other two structures.
Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Mr. Garrett?
Yeah, just for clarification, so there is, I guess, there would be nothing at the top of this drawing. There's no, that is not a road, correct?
Driveway there.
There's a driveway?
It kind of functions as an alley, but it runs across. You can see on the GIS map, it runs on the,
Yeah,
house to our
those are all three are city streets.
What I'm talking about, what would be up here at the top?
Oh, up the top, there's a neighbor's driveway and garage. If you look at the GIS,
it runs to Riley Place from Riley Highway.
right there, there is just a garage. It's not his driveway. His driveway does come from 9 or Riley Highway.
Okay,
And in the rear, there's a garage.
so it's not like an alleyway where there'd be potential kids? Okay, because I noticed the, the setbacks were,
Oh, yeah, no.
yeah,
there's
on
nothing.
on that,
Yeah,
on
there's
that back
not-
half, it's much shorter than,
Right.
so I think we have,
There's not an alleyway there.
yeah, I think we have good setbacks that allow for play, I guess, as well as safety.
Yeah, and I guess if I can interject, if Morrison Street and Riley Place were classified as alleys, they function that way, but they aren't technically classified that way. The setback on those two would be 4 foot instead of, they're classified as streets, so it's a normal 20-foot setback is what the ordinance is calling. So if this were in another part of town where I live on a road with an alley, 4 foot is the setback off of that. So they are proposing
So, yeah, that's.
8 on one side and 8 off of Riley Place and 16 off of Morrison Street.
I just wanted to say that in that picture, it shows the distance from the property line, but it is 20 feet from the road on both sides, the south and the west side.
The actual pavement is farther out than the property lines.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It's 20 feet from the road on the west and south side.
Okay. Yeah,
We're showing property.
so yeah,
lines.
okay. I got it.
All right, did I get everybody on this petition? All right. So we'll close comment from the board and open it to public comment. Does anyone wish to speak on this particular portion of this petition, the general accessory standard yard location?
My name is Barbara Ivy. I live at 1924 Culbertson. Didn't know I lived at Riley Place. There is no street sign out there. I guess I have 2 front yards. When I moved to that neighborhood, it was a well-established neighborhood. J.W. Obrecht was my neighbor to the back. The Reams that own Coca-Cola. Lovely neighborhood. Everyone maintained their property. It's changed over the years. I'm short. It changed over the years, but most everyone else has kept up the property. I don't know, did I miss how many square feet this building is?
It's 40 foot by 56 foot, which 2,240 square foot.
Okay. Is that just to house the, right, well, there's been 8 vehicles parked around there. Some of them run, some of them don't. They've been hauling some away. So I don't know, is that just for a personal garage? The rest of my neighborhood has what I would consider a garage, not a great big building. And at the edge of my property, this is what it looks like. I don't know if anybody's ever been out where we live. Ever heard of Riley Place before this? City hasn't. They don't plow us in the winter. We don't have a street sign. They don't, no. I've looked at that for 11 months, and I'm very glad they're going to clean it up. There's just a lot. When we come in off of South 9 and pull in, it's a very short, Morrison Street is very short. If that building is right out at the edge of the property, my neighbors on the north go to pull up, or we do, we aren't gonna be able to see around that building because we've had problems with the weeds. The compliance officer's been out because it blocks the view from around that corner. So we're concerned with pulling in. My neighbors to the other side, the Bakers, have children, and you go to pull out, you can't see who's coming in on 9. That is, Morrison Street is 1 lane. So if you're pulling in off of 9 and somebody's coming out of the neighborhood, you gotta pull into a yard and make room for the traffic anyway. I just question why they have a garage attached to the house. There's another garage, and then there were these 2 buildings. You know, is this just for their personal vehicles? But it has to be that large and right at the edge of the street. We just don't understand why it has to be that close to Riley Place. I mean, I've looked at this mess for 11 months after he blew up the garage, and we're glad it's gonna be cleaned up. But I don't wanna come out in my yard and see, is this building metal or wood? Is it a metal building?
It's a metal.
If you drive around in Shelbyville, unless it's an industrial or commercial area, there is no metal buildings in nice neighborhoods. I know, Mr. Bradburn, you don't have one in your yard, in your neighborhood. You don't either. Would you like this right next to your house? And I don't think it's going to improve by putting a metal barn in a well-established old neighborhood. I've been there 50 years. My deed said there's been a house where I lived since 1854. We picked that neighborhood because of the neighbors and the way they all kept their property. I would hate to see it change and lower our property values.
Okay, can you give me an idea of where you are in accordance to this drawing.
Okay. I am on Riley Place. At the top of where he said that was a driveway, that was J.W. Breck's driveway. Direct, you can go from my driveway. You gotta come up here. I have lots of pictures if you want to see where we live.
His house here, so turn right here, there's the second floor, literally the second place. Ranches are here, and then Ivy's are here, and then Bakers are here. And this was all, Baker's Drive goes all the way back down to
Culverts.
Culver's.
Okay. Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, that's right there.
Yeah.
There's three of us. Dan Ivy, my lovely wife here. There's only 3 driveways that go from Riley Place down to Culver's. Everybody else has to come in off of Highway. My concern on the whole thing is the watershed is bad back there anyway. And if they don't create a way to get the water off of that roof, it's gonna cause more problem. Comes right off into my garage, down the driveway into Baker's property, down to a ditch that goes down and comes down onto Culver's. We have enough water, enough problems with that now. I think this would create another problem that we'd have to deal with.
Water also stands on Morrison Street between what used to be Mickey Wagner's house and their house. When it rains, there's always water standing there also. I have pictures if you want to see the neighborhood.
What I'm seeing is the subject property. They're asking for this building, but I also see other accessory buildings near Riley Place. So
Back in the 80s, the city, I guess they decided to do away with part of it, as I understand now. I thought they took all of it away and the property became an alley through there. Dr. Latchall built a fence, Dr. Dalton put up a basketball court.
There's been a basketball
And
court in the middle of what would be
Everybody's
Riley
kind of
Place
encroached
since
on
the
that.
60s.
There are buildings that are probably within a foot of that street. I think it's a 25 or 30-foot street in there, should be. So we're all probably, some of the property, and I'm probably guilty of one of the two. I have a building that probably is a foot off that.
But if you look at our building, it's well maintained, it's painted, there's no garbage around, there's no trash, there's no weeds. As
I'm more
my
concerned about the
neighbors.
watershed and the height. And that would put see, they would have to come through and they would be entering off of Riley Place into their garages. Is that correct? Is that correct?
You're gonna come in off Riley?
They'd come in off of
We
Riley.
don't, not everybody does. I'm just glad they're gonna get rid of 8 vehicles somewhere. Half of them don't even run.
all right, has this brought up any questions from anyone else on the board?
Yeah, I appreciate the Mr. and Mrs. Ivy's sentiment. And I think it might be worth potentially tabling this for next month to address the concerns brought up by Mr. and Mrs. Ivy, as well as maybe even Mrs. Baker or any other people from the public.
Now, the Cassards didn't even get a letter about this, and they have to come in off Morrison Street to Riley Place. They never even,
Yeah,
only
there's a
because
street
they're our
property, that's
neighbors.
the only way to get in there.
Question for the staff. Have all the applicable architectural standards been met with the proposed accessory structure?
Yeah, in the city's R1 district, there are not material requirements in terms of architectural standards. Some neighborhoods throughout the community have further HOA standards or covenants and restrictions and those kinds of things that are privately enforced. But the material of the building, siding, brick, metal, any of that is not regulated by the ordinance. So it is, the proposed structure would meet that that requirement.
My concern was it doesn't match the neighborhood, an old established neighborhood. Come in and put a metal building. The only place I've seen them out on the farm or in designated commercial areas within Shelbyville. I don't have a problem with
So
them building
I
a
have
garage, but not a big
I have a question for
barn.
the petitioner. Is this standing seam siding?
What was that question?
If it was standing seam metal siding on the building itself?
If, say, for instance, the weather becomes a water problem, does the city then come in and put a drain through there?
If there's standing water or something along those lines, we can have the MS4 director reach out and look into any standing
Do we
water
have that
problems.
study before this goes in?
The
We
water
don't-
the water from Riley Place runs right down by us and into the bakers anyway.
Well,
We get
most
the
of it comes
water.
in my garage.
Yeah, it does.
We don't require that for new residential developments. And this property in particular, we have a maximum lot coverage requirement, so you can only cover your lot a certain percentage. That's what leads to more runoff of water. That number in this zoning district is 45%, and the proposal would have them under that maximum lot coverage number. But if there's a specific standing water problem in on Riley Place or Morrison, we can have the MS4 director reach out and see if it's
We've
something that can
griped
be
about
picked
this
up.
for years and nobody's ever come out to take care of it.
Mhm.
They treat it like an alley.
Yeah.
They repaved it once.
When Phil Brown was the city
Attorney,
attorney, you know how many years ago that's been?
about 35.
And they don't resurface it. We don't get plowed. Our snow does not get plowed. And ask Mrs. Cassart, she comes in and out every day too. We're ignored as a street. We didn't know that was our front yard. Since we don't have house numbers or no street sign for Riley Place. But when all these homes were built, nobody knew you had to have a covenant because, you need this in case this neighbor wants to do this, or when J.W. Breck was on, it's his garage in his driveway. He built that house that's right next to theirs. We had great neighbors when we first moved in. That's why we picked that neighborhood.
I thank you, but I'd like to kind of cut this a little short for brevity. But I will ask if there's anyone else that wishes to speak, come on up and
I know
speak
I'm
your name.
long-winded.
Tell us, ask your questions and
I'm not that short. My name is Nancy Kazart. I live at 2024 Culbertson, and I too did not know I had two front yards. So I am at the very end, very south of Riley Place. And it's already hard. You can see their place. And at the property across from Morrison Street from them, they have a very tall wooden fence. So it's already hard seeing people coming and going from there. I can't imagine, I'm sorry, this is very loud. I can't imagine having more of an obstructed view of people coming from Danny and Barb's way and from our way. There's going to be crashes unless you put stop signs there. I don't know why the structure has to be so close to the streets. That's my only concern, is how close it is going to be to the streets. So that's all I have to say.
thank you.
My name's Andrew Nance. I'm on Culbertson as well. My only concern or question, and I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to ask it, but when I saw how big the structure was gonna be, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't gonna be running some sort of business out of it, like a mechanic shop or something where vehicles are coming and going out of there. I just wanted to know if it was for personal use or there was a plan to run something out of it, was my main concern as well.
Alrighty, thank you. Please speak to that petitioner.
No, Steve can
No,
start.
there will be no business being run there. Not going to be doing anything for other people other than just family members and myself. We just have vehicles we like to maintain and space for projects.
And I think his intentions would be to put all those inside the building to decorate.
So
And
all the
again, we,
vehicles that,
yeah, there's nothing
mentioned will be
setting outside
inside.
like there is now. And the only other thing, and I know you've related to it, we're actually going to be farther away from Moore Street than what's there now. We'll probably be approximately 20 feet away from the edge of pavement. And I think right now it's right up against the pavement. So I think it'll actually be better on the view.
I believe it's the same distance from Morrison Street, but it will be about 10 feet closer to Riley Place, which is on the west side. It won't be as close as the fence that's south of us, but it will be closer. Still 20 feet from the road still though.
thank you.
So you're saying you're gonna be 20 feet from Morrison Street and
20 feet from Riley Place as well.
20 feet from Riley Place as well?
Yeah, but that'll be an 8-foot setback from our property line.
That's pavement, not right away. I don't know what your right of way is, but from pavement, we will be 20 feet.
Adam, can you speak to the right of way on that?
I can try to pull that real quick and see what the right of way width is. It looks like the right of way width is 50 foot on center, about 50 foot on center, and just estimating off GIS now, but the petitioner's western property line to the edge of pavement is about 12 foot, give or take. So with the, let's see, 8 foot requested, yeah, they'd be right at 20 or around that.
One more question for me. Were your property lines set by surveyor?
No,
Where did you get your information for your property lines?
mainly off of GIS. Pace Engineering has surveys that are to the north of us, but mainly off of the GIS and the existing structures that are there.
All right, thank you.
Are we,
Only as it pertains to the petition in front of us right now.
I know exactly where the property lines are. Dan Ivy, live at 1924 Culbertson. The property line that he's discussing with is the telephone pole. There's an R&Ks in both of those, and there's 2 telephone poles in that back field. As far as that pavement is concerned, that's not an actual pavement that the city, it's a blacktop they put down to make sure that we didn't get the mud. I've lived there 53 years, and I'm glad to have blacktop, but it was an old gravel road before. And that's the reason I'm concerned about the runoff.
All right, thank you.
We're still considering the yard location.
Yes.
I think for all intents and purposes, Riley Place, and I think everybody that's come to the mic tonight has agreed that's used as an alley. And so based on our current city ordinance, 4 feet is what's required for an alley. And as I'm reading it, and as I hear the petition to present, the proposed accessory structure will be double that away from the property line. And I certainly understand the safety issues out there, but as it applies to the ordinance, if we're to use the alley as a benchmark, I think the petitioner is going well beyond what is required actually of an alley.
Are you calling the street or an alley?
Point of order. Where are we are we still in public comment, or is this board comment,
This
Chair?
is comment back to questions.
Have we closed public comment?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I do have a question though. In your just definition, it just sounds like, I don't know if this is an alley or a drive, a road.
So it's, by the definition, in the ordinance, it's a street.
It's a street?
That's a street. It's a named street in the city street inventory. And to, I think Mr. Ivory was the one that had stated it. Portions of right-of-way on the north and south end of Riley Place were vacated in the 80s, but not all of it, as we can see here. In the, well, nothing's on, as what was shown on the screen before, some of that right-of-way is still intact as public right-of-way. So by the definition in the ordinance, it is a street. To Mr. Bradburn's point, and a few of the neighbors, it functions more like an alley.
So if we're still considering A here, this is just the location, which we need, I think we as a board need to decide what we're defining as the front yard. Forgive me, are we still in public comment or is this board discussion?
I think we're back to board, I believe, Chris, right?
Excuse me?
Yeah, where are we at, Chris?
We were answering or asking questions of as were brought forth by the questions from the public. So I guess that would be discussion after I close comment on this.
Okay. I'll wait till that time.
At that point, since you've all spoken, I'm going to close public comment and we'll discuss this.
So the front yard to me is Riley Highway. And the proposed structure is not being requested to be built anywhere near North Riley Highway. And so that's why I'm inclined to approve portion A of the site location, or excuse me, of the accessory structure location of being behind the house, reference looking from Riley Highway to the house.
And I'll just clarify, Mr. Bradburn kind of got to this point a little bit, but item or variance A is just allowing that structure to be built in that western yard because everything is considered a front yard to build basically anywhere on the site. That variance, that first one would be needed. So that's all the more that's being granted if variance A is approved. Variance B would be relief from the setback off of Morrison Street, so that south property line. Variance C would grant relief from the setback from Riley Place, and then variance D would grant relief from the maximum height standards.
I would concur with Mr. Bradburn on the front yard location.
Yeah, I will confer as well that I do identify North Riley Highway as the front yard.
So as it stands, I guess we are ready for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested development standards variance from UDO 5.03-C-4 to allow the placement of a pole barn in a front yard in accordance with the documents submitted pursuant to the findings of facts presented in the planning staff's report.
Have a motion?
Second.
And second, please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-08A.
This is a motion for approval of BZA 2025-08A, the variance for the yard location. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Cassidy, yes. Mr. Clark, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries.
Now we'll take into account the B petition. Would you please approach the, in case we have some questions here. So I guess we can start with questions from the board. Mr. Bradburn?
All right, so we're considering the minimum front yard setback for Morrison Street here, portion B, correct?
Correct.
Yep, so minimum front yard setback. And the proposed location is 16 foot, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I have no questions at the time.
I have no questions. Mr. Cassidy?
Kind of, sort of. Maybe this is for the staff. Then can we, going back to Mrs. Ivy's statement about material, is there anything we can, is there any conditions we can do that to make it something then besides a pole barn, what the material is? Or is that beyond our preview in this purview?
I think in this, with the request before the board, I think it would be outside board's purview. General case law on it says that conditions should be relevant to the request before you. So the requests are yard location, setback, and height. If there were requests for materials or architectural or some of those things, it would be more related and would be easier. I think it would be a little bit of a stretch.
I
Yeah.
don't have my copy of the UDO, but standing seam siding covered in the R1.
Yeah, in R1, there are no permitted, prohibited material types. So standing seam metal could be used on this no matter what. Yeah.
No question.
Mr. Garrett?
Yeah, I have two. I think both for staff. So to Doug's point, if hypothetically we do pass this, does it go to plan commission to then discuss possible materials?
No, so the only projects that require plan commission approval before or after this board are on commercial and industrial sites. So anything in our R1, R2, and maybe RM district do not require what's called site development plan. It's administratively reviewed and approved through the permit process. So after this evening, if if the board makes decisions on all four of these variances, that'll be it. It'll move forward to the permit, whatever the conditions are this evening.
And then my next question for staff, do we feel that the 16-foot is in line with the safety of the residents of this neighborhood to allow movements from Morrison to Riley Place? Is that?
Yeah, in preparing the staff report and looking at what is out there now, that setback off Morrison Street is similar. I was just measuring it. It fall about in line with where the accessory structure is now. If the request is a reduction from 20 foot down to 16, if the board felt something else was appropriate, obviously that could be adjusted, but if no variance is granted, 20 foot is the setback off of Morrison Street.
Thank you.
Chris, could I speak for a second?
Yes.
I didn't know if you're with the audience or with.
No,
I'm trying to do some appeasing here to some extent or some, I'm sorry. I'm trying to do some appeasing here as me and Steven's talking about it, listening to the things and stuff. That rear setback that we have, that's 8 feet off of Riley Road. Sorry, go
We're
ahead.
talking about the south setback right now.
Yeah, the south,
Right, you're talking about the west.
the west off of Riley Road or Riley Place, I'm sorry. If it would help to increase that to 16 feet for visibility
So 16 and 16?
instead of 8, so we're 16 and 16. We have that room to do that, move it closer to the house by another 8 feet to expose that corner more. I'm just offering that out but I don't want to have to come in for another change if we can make that.
Yeah. 'cause so-
Minimum separation. Yeah, 5 foot's the minimum separation between any structures.
Okay.
So will that be a condition we'll have to add in?
If that is, let me just look and see, because I think we can just state the motion differently.
I don't think it
But for
changes the
this one, we
conditions.
won't need to
Yeah, no,
change
I'm,
B.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
I'm jumping ahead. That'll be
Yes,
for
sorry.
C, not B. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead, sorry.
Yeah, there won't be, if that's all the more that change that's happening, there won't need to be a condition or anything on B or C.
Okay.
Yep.
So make sure it gets added to the public record.
All right. I guess this would, any more questions from the board? I Forgot, lost my place.
We're ready for public comment.
Ready for what?
Yeah,
All right, so I'll close the comment on this part of the petition and open it to the public to speak only on the setback from Morrison Street, the 16-foot already there. Only for this part of the petition that is about the 16-foot right-of-way setback from Morrison Street. All right. No.
That's the next one. That is
All
my
right.
fault. I jumped ahead in our comment, our question, so that'll be the next one.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Seeing no one, close public comment. Ready for a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested development standards variance from UDO 5.55-E to allow the placement of a pole barn within 16 feet of the southern property line in accordance with the documents submitted pursuant to the findings of facts presented in the planning staff's report.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-08B.
This is a motion for approval on BZA 2025-08B. Mr. Cassidy, yes. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Clark, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. I guess we'll talk about C now. And as you stated in the last portion of the petition, are you willing to move that?
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that with the 8-foot property setback, it is still 20 feet. I just want to make sure the public knew that 8 feet from our property line is 20 from Riley Place, but we are willing, if it's going to come down to it, to move farther away.
So our agreement would be is when we enter our, whatever the next step is for this approval, we could say that we'll change that to 16 feet instead of 8. To make a note on this meeting.
All right, thank you. I'll take questions from the board. Mr. Garrett,
No questions.
Mr. Cassidy.
None.
The only question I have is of the board, are we prepared to look at the additional 8?
Yeah, to make it 16 feet.
Compromise.
Yeah, we appreciate the concession from the petitioner.
And I have no other questions, Mr. Bradburn.
Yep, no questions.
All right, I will close comment from the board, open it to the public. Only if you wish to speak on the C petition. Please restate your name for the record.
Dan Ivy. This is 16 feet off of right of place, and you're moving it back, move it from 8 to 16. Okay. So I just want to make sure I understand that.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak about this? Seeing no one, close public comment, ready for,
I would like to make a motion to approve the requested development standards variance from UDO 5.55-E to allow the placement of a pole barn within 16 feet of the western property line in accordance with the documents submitted pursuant to the findings of fact presented in the planning staff's report.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-08C.
Motion for approval on BZA 2025-08C for a reduction down to 16 feet. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Casti, yes. Mr. Clerk, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we'll take the last portion of this petition into account, which would be the heights standard.
Dave Hunt, Stephen Wiley. Again, we were asking for an accessory on the height difference. The measurement, the city requirement is 75% of the house structure. We missed that on a 4-to-1 slope. We missed it by 12 inches. So we went ahead and asked for variance to allow us to be 18-inch higher than what's normally, or what would be allowed.
All righty, I'll take questions from the board. Mr. Bradburn?
Yeah, I assume you read the planning staff's report with the conditions of not to exceed 19.5 feet, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. Thanks. No further questions.
So my question would be, how does the pitch of this roof equate to the pitch of the main structure?
The main structure is a 12 to 12 pitch. It's 45 degrees. This is more of a garage type pitch, which is 4 feet to 12 feet.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cassidy?
No questions.
Mr. Garrett?
No questions.
So there are no more questions from the board. I'll close comment and open to the public. Anyone wish to speak on this particular portion of this petition? See no one, close public comment. And we are ready for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested developmental standards variance from UDO 5.23-A-2 to allow the erection of a pole barn with a maximum height not to exceed 19 feet 6 inches in accordance with the documents submitted pursuant to the findings of fact presented in the planning staff's report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-08D.
This is a motion for approval on BZA 2025-08D. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Casti, yes. Mr. Clerk, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you to the public.
Okay, our last item this evening. Gotta get my papers in order. Last item this evening is BZA 2025-09, St. Joseph Catholic Church Development Standards Variance. Petitioner's name, St. Joseph Catholic Church. The owner's name, Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Indianapolis Properties, Inc. Petitioner's representative this evening is Dustin Myers from Crossroads Engineers. Address of the property is 125 East Broadway Street. Zoning classification is IS institutional. The action requested this evening is 9 different development standards variances. The first has to do with general accessory structure standards, the location of the dumpster trash container. The next 2 have to do with driveway separations, one on Pike Street and one on Broadway. And then the remainder of the variances, variances D through I, have to do with parking lot encroachment into a front yard setback. Those front yards being front yard off Broadway Street, front yard off Pike Street, front yard off Hendricks Street, front yard off Center Street, front yard off the alley, and then front yard off Nimble Street.
Please state your name for the record and tell us
Sure.
about your project.
Dustin Myers with Crossroads Engineers, here on behalf of the St. Joseph Catholic Church to discuss a handful of variances that we're requesting this evening. As Adam just mentioned, the locations at 125 East Broadway, which the parcel is unique in the fact that the church has been acquiring and obtaining adjacent parcels, old homes, and adding it to their overall campus for the church and the school. So with that, our front yards are now on Broadway, on Pike, on Noble, on Hendricks, on Center. So we have some challenges as far as trying to adhere to the strict application of the ordinance as far as not just the accessory structure being the dumpster, but also the proposed parking lots. So with that, we're here tonight to, first and foremost, we will start with the dumpster. We've kind of located, I don't know if you can pull up that site plan for that exhibit. We've located the dumpster such that it's centrally located. It's far enough away from most of the streets, and it'll meet the requirements of the screening and landscaping that are required for the use of the dumpster. Do you want me to stop there? We can talk about that, or how do you want to approach all 9 of these? That'll work, okay.
And I'm pulling up the plans. My computer's running slow. My apologies. Thought I had all these. So.
I have a question for the chair. Do you want to continue doing the?
I would say take this one.
Each individually?
Individually.
Okay.
Take all the setbacks.
Okay, so we'll do as followed. A, individual, and then B through I as one. D through I? Okay.
And B and C together, because they kind of apply.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah, A will be on its own, B and C will be one, and C or D through I will be one vote. Correct?
Yes.
So
There we are.
there we are. So relating to the dumpster is kind of that small square that's kind of in the middle of the site that's highlighted in red. So you can see it's pretty well separated from most of the frontages, the closest being East Hendrick Street.
Okay, questions from Mr. Bradburn?
No questions other than sympathies. There's no front yard in this one either.
Yeah, there's not.
Thanks. Appreciate your patience tonight.
I also appreciate your patience. I have a question, and that would be, is the dumpster to be serviced as a throughway from Broadway Street, pick up and go through?
That would be correct.
So-
I'm not sure of the exact approach it would take, but it would make sense that it would come off of East Broadway, grab it, back up, and then probably head westbound or westerly, and then hit Pike Street and then move on. But it could also go in a clockwise direction to Center Street or no.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to kind of
Yeah.
figure out that.
The orientation,
Pattern where
yeah,
it's-
the orientation is kind of a 1 o'clock, if you will.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cassidy,
No questions.
Mr. Garrett?
Yeah, to Mr. Bradbourne's point, there's a lot of no front yards in this town. I didn't know so. But no, no questions for the petitioner though.
So if we're done with questions of the board, we'll close comment and open it to the public. Please. And seeing no one from the public wish to speak, close public comment. Ready for a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested variance to apply, to allow a placement of a dumpster in the front yard in accordance to the staff report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-09A.
Motion for approval on 2025-09A. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Casti, yes. Mr. Clark, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we'll speak to
Yeah.
both B and C.
Sure. So moving on, the next request would be the drive separation. I'll start with the Pike Street roadway connection where it's within, or it's too close per the ordinance, which they believe is 150 feet for Pike Street. For roughly 30 feet. The intention or one of the goals of this master plan is to provide enough or ample on-site parking to try to minimize the amount of on-street parking that the church uses for their services and for the school itself to have a safer and more manageable pickup and drop off during the school day. So the approach we've shown here is would really utilize Hendricks, make a clockwise movement to the drop-off area. This is for school day services. And then they would leave out to Pike Street or to Broadway, depending on which way they would go afterwards. So that Pike Street location is pretty well set because the church and the school also wanted to try to maintain as much green space in that far northwest corner for the different activities and functions that they have. Moving on to the East Broadway Street location. That one gets a little tricky. Obviously, we're kind of held because of the location of the school, the church, and the rectory building. We really kind of separated as far east as we could. There's actually an existing drive approach there now. We're just expanding it in width. But we still can't meet the strict application of the ordinance, which is 200 feet on Broadway Street, because it's a different classification. I'll take any questions.
All righty. So questions from the board. We'll start with Mr. Garrett,
No questions.
Mr. Cassidy.
No question.
I have one question, and that is for the traffic from East Broadway. You are aware of the conditions that were asked by the staff for the working with the state.
We did receive them, and we are happy to accept them, and we will work with staff to get them addressed.
Alrighty, thank you. Mr. Bradburn?
No questions for me.
So I'll close. Questions from the board, open to the public. No one wishes to speak. Close public comment. Ready for a motion for both B and C.
We have to take these votes separately.
We do?
Yes,
For this
we can do the hearing as one. We just did the hearing as one for both, but we'll need a motion for B and then a motion for C. You guys are really gonna earn your keep tonight.
Then I would like to make a motion to approve the requested development standards variance from UDO 5.15 non-residential driveway standard to allow driveway entrance off Pike Street within 27 feet of the intersection of Hendrick Street and Pike Street in accordance with the documents submitted pursuant to the findings of fact presented in the planning staff's report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-09B.
Sir, says motion for approval on 2025-09B. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Cassidy, yes. Mr. Clerk, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries.
Now we ready for C? Okay.
Yep.
I would like to make a motion to approve the requested development standards variance from UDO 5.15 non-residential driveway standard to allow driveway entrance off Broadway Street within 162 feet off of the Pike Street right-of-way in accordance with the documents submitted, imposing the proposed conditions pursuant to the findings of facts presented in the planning staff's report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-09C.
This is approval for BZA 2025-09C. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Cassidy, yes. Mr. Clerk, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we'll speak to the remainder.
So D through I all relate to the locations of the parking lots in the vicinity of the front yard. So as we've discussed, we've got front yards everywhere. Again, the idea is to maximize parking, not minimize the parking. If we adhered to the strict guideline of the ordinance, we'd have to lose parking. We'd have to move and orient it in a different fashion. So with the site plan submitted, this kind of maximizes the use of not just the parking lot, but some of the green space of the remaining site as well. So.
All right. Questions from the board. We'll start with Mr. Bradburn this time.
None, just comment. Appreciate the whole thing. Congratulations, and it's exciting with the growth and the expansion here, and also appreciate the wanting to keep some green space out there as well on the campus. So congratulations, and no questions.
Thank you. I have no questions. Mr. Cassidy?
The entrance off of, that you use parking now off of Noble Street, is that all gonna be fenced in now, where you're not gonna be able to drive in and out of there?
To the east of the school?
Yeah, on South Noble Street.
That's correct. Yes, it'll be fenced in,
Brian Fisher, there's one little, the gate that's there off Noble Street. We're gonna leave the gate there in case of like, but it'll all be grassed. But if we want for festival or some way to get in there, but the gate will be closed all the time because that's gonna be all grassed and that'll be a playground for the kids.
Okay,
Does that answer your question?
yep, perfect. Thank you. That's good.
No questions from me.
Thank you. So I'll close questions from the board. No one from the public wishes to speak. Close public comment. Ready for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested development standards variance from UDO 5.15-I-4-A setback standards variance front yard to allow increased encroachment into the setback along Broadway Street, Pike Street, Hendrick Street, Center Street. Just the one?
Just one at a time.
Oh, just one at a time? Okay, sorry. Roll right now, Broadway Street. In accordance with the documents submitted pursuant to the finding of fact presented in the planning staff's report.
Second,
Motion and a second. Cast ballot for BZA 2025, not 09D.
what do you think?
Oh, gosh. I should probably vote.
Motion for approval on BZA 2025-09D. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Casti, yes. Mr. Clark, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries.
I would like to make a motion to approve the requested development standards variance from UDO 5.15-I-4-A setback standards variance front yards to allow an increase in encroachment into the setback along Broadway Street in accordance with the documents submitted pursuant to the findings of fact presented in the planning staff's report.
You meant Pike
That's
Street?
Pike Street.
Pike Street. It's been a long night.
Second,
Have a motion and a second. Cast your ballot for BZA 2025-09E.
I forgot to vote.
that's wrong. That's funny.
Motion for approval on 2025-09E. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Casti, yes. Mr. Clark, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries.
I'm gonna get it this time. I would like to make a motion to approve the requested development standards variance from UDO 5.15-I-4-A setback standards variance front yard to allow increased encroachment into the setback along Hendrick Street in accordance with the documents submitted pursuant to the findings of fact presented in the planning staff's report.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-09F.
Do such a good job.
Motion for approval on 2025-09F. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Casti, yes. Mr. Clark, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries.
You got it?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request development standards, the setback for the front yard encroachment along Center Street.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-09G.
This is a motion for approval on 2025-09G. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Casti, yes. Mr. Clark, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested development standard variance for a front yard to allow increased encroachment on the alley between Noble Street and Center Street.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-09H.
Yeah, motion for approval on 2025-09H. Mr. Casti, yes. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Clark, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested development standards variance from UDO 5.55-I-4-A setback standards front yards to allow an increased encroachment into the setback along Noble Street in accordance with the documents presented pursuant to the findings of fact presented in the planning staff's report.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please cast your ballot for BZA 2025-09I.
Now you chime in.
I do think I just set a record for the motions I made tonight. I want that on record.
We don't keep track of that, but we might start. Motion for approval, 2025-09I. Mr. Garrett, yes. Mr. Casti, yes. Mr. Clark, yes. Mr. Bradburn, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you, folks.
Yep. Thanks for your patience.
Hey, quick question. When are you guys gonna start? Do you know yet, Mr. Fisher?
We actually, I had a lunch meeting today, and Bruns Gutzweiler's the GC, and they think they could start bricking maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks. They had a job shift out, and so maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Don't tell anybody. We haven't told the parish yet, so. So we're gonna announce to the parish, not this weekend, but next weekend. We finally got all the phasing and staging and kind of when we got to shut down, and because we'll be out of the church for 6 months. Yep. So, yeah. So I asked Father, I said, so we can just not go to mass, right? That didn't go over well. So. All right, I will. So we hope to get started soon. They're hopeful they can re-brick the east and the west facade before winter, which is incredible. I think they can do that, and they hope to be done about a year from now, which I can't imagine, but that's what they said. So we'll take it.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Only item under discussion is just a reminder and to put it on the record for everyone watching at home, that we have a special BZA meeting on July 16th at 6 p.m. So join us here or online.
Motion to